Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I am going to be focusing on should you buy or should you rent your primary residence, so the house that you live in. Now this is something which is completely debated about all the time by so many people, and there's always kind of like myths like renting is dead money or buying a house is what you should do. So yeah, I'm just gonna kind of break it down so that you can make your own decision, but at least you know both sides of the story. So, guys, let's go right into it. Hi, guys. So, yeah, I've put together a document just to show you, just to kind of illustrate what the pros and cons are of both buying and also renting. So, these are the pros of buying a home. First of all, it's cheaper in the long term. Now, of course, upfront costs are insane when you're buying a house. But typically it works out in the long run. When I say long run, I really mean in the very long run, because, for instance, the first let's say 10 years of your mortgage, you're not paying the equity, you're just paying the interest. So you're just paying the bank for the first 10 years of your mortgage. And then the few years after that, then you are paying off your equity. And that's when you kind of, start benefiting from the long-term benefits of owning a house. So first things first is it's cheaper in the long term, not the short term. Number two, you have ownership of the house. So it just, I guess, just general, just general satisfaction. You can do whatever you want with the house. It's not really dead money. I mean, over the long term, you will eventually own the house outright, and the bank won't owe you money. You won't owe the bank money either. So yeah, that's another benefit as well. For me, I don't really see this as anything substantial personally. I just feel like it's potentially just people that just want to say to other people that they own a house, almost like a status symbol. So yeah, that's just my opinion. Now this is where it says no limits. That's the third point. Now I kind of agree with this. I mean, with a landlord, they have rules with pets, the number of guests that you can have over at your property, at your rental property, what you can do with it inside. Can you put pictures up? Can you, I know you can do a lot of things. Basically, that's the problem with that's kind of a benefit of owning your own house. You can do whatever you want with it. You can add, you can renovate it and expand it from the outside or from the inside, or you can drill anything you want. You can put pictures up. You can put the TV on the wall. You can do anything you want. You can invite as many people as you want. So yeah, no limits with owning a house. For me personally, that's probably the biggest plus with regards to buying your house that you live in. And then the fourth point is peace of mind. Again, I know this is really spoken about quite a lot, but for me personally, I just don't see it as a big plus. I mean, I haven't really had a landlord kind of kick me out the house that I'm renting from so far anyway. So maybe that's why I feel like this at the moment. But yeah, with buying a house, you have peace of mind. You know that no one's going to kick you out unless, of course, you don't pay the bank. Then yeah. Then we also have cons of buying a home. So first of all, like I said already, it's extremely expensive upfront costs. I mean, there are lawyer fees, the agent fees, there's stamp duty. There's just so many fees that you need to pay up. And this is money you're not even going to get back whatsoever. And the funny thing is, when you do sell a house, you have those exact same costs again. So I know people will kind of ignore those costs as well, especially when they're selling the house. When you're calculating your ROI, you need to factor in those costs. So it's very expensive to buy a house at the start. And then maintenance as well is another huge one. So again, this is not something which is accounted for. So when something breaks in your own home that you've bought, you have to fix it. You can't ring up anyone to come fix it, like your landlord or anything like that. So if the boiler breaks or your heating breaks or you need a plumber or anything else like that, you have to fix it yourself. So again, you're going out of pocket once more. And also commitment. So you're kind of stuck into your options. So with buying a house, you're committed to paying the mortgage for however many years. In the UK, standard is around 25 years. So you don't really have much option with that. So, and also even generally moving as well. I mean, you can't just decide to move tomorrow because you need to sell your house first. And that typically takes a couple of weeks at best, or if not a few months as well. So that's another thing. Then now let's go to the other side, which is pros of renting a home. Now it's cheaper in the short term. So initially it's cheaper. Of course, you don't have like the mortgage, you don't have the upfront cost fees. You don't have the agent fees, you don't have the stamp duty or anything else like that. So at the start, it's definitely cheaper for you at the start. And typically, it's a good place to start before you eventually go into buying a house, if that's your wish as well. And then you have flexibility, which is my personal favorite pro of renting a house. Now, I can just move anywhere I want around the UK, or I can even go abroad pretty easily. I don't need to look for tenants to cover myself. As long as my tenants agreement is ended, I can do whatever I want. I can go to another house. I can change it up. I can go into the countryside. I can go into the city of London. I can do whatever I want. I've got that first flexibility. That's really important, especially in this day and age. Especially when people can work from home, I can just decide, oh, I'm going to go to, I don't know, the south of France for 2 months and work from home there instead of staying in central London. Whereas if you buy a house, you can't really do that. And if you do that, you're kind of wasting, you're kind of paying two things really. So yeah, and then you got less risk. So again, if something breaks in your house, you don't really need to fix anything. So there's less risk on that. So the landlord is responsible for pretty much everything that needs fixing within the house. So again, that's a really good pro of renting. Now let's start the cons. So the first is you don't get the landlord benefits. So you don't gain equity in the property eventually. If you remember correctly, I said when you buy a house, your mortgage, the first half of the mortgage, so for example, the first 10, 12 years, you're not actually paying any of the equity down, you're actually just paying the interest from the bank. So the first few years, you're just paying to the bank. So, but eventually you will start to have that equity in the house as well. Now, of course, if you're renting, you don't get these benefits. But at the same time, you are getting something in return, because I know there's a myth that renting is dead money. Well, it's not dead money, because you're getting a service, or you're having a shelter, you're having somewhere to live. So you're getting something in exchange for your money. So it's not dead money. Yeah. Then you're subject to rules. So like I said, there's rules in the house when you're renting. So the landlord can decide you have only allowed a certain amount of people around, or you can't put any pictures up, you can't draw the walls, you can't extend anything. So yeah, that's a big con of renting a house. Unfortunately, you just have to go by the landlord's rules. And then it's also more expensive in the long term. So eventually, when the person who's paying the mortgage, when they start paying the equity, then it gets more expensive if you're renting for all those years. But renting is really kind of suitable, especially if you're just kind of trying to save up, and eventually you're trying to have a house in the long term as well. But yeah, so in the long term, then it can be expensive. But it's up to you, really. I mean, do you think, is it expensive enough to give up your freedom of moving and other things as well? That's your own decision to make. So what should you do? Now, there's a few things to consider. Of course, I've said all the pros and cons, but the first is, do you have enough money to pay a deposit? Now, in the UK, we have a 5% Help to Buy scheme, which I believe has just been reintroduced again. Now, this is not, in my opinion, it's not a really good deal. You should ideally have at least 10 to 25% deposit if you're going to buy a house. Now, do you have this? Of course, most people don't have it readily. They would have to save up for a couple of years, which means that if you answer no to this question, then I guess you're left with renting. And the second thing is, do you have financial stability to pay your mortgage and still live comfortably? Now, what's the point of having a really nice house? You're paying a high mortgage monthly, but you can't just do anything. You can't do anything at the end of the month or after your payday, whatever. Even if you have a business, you can't do anything because all your money has gone. You can't do anything else outside of your house. Is that worthwhile? It's entirely up to you, because it's not all your mortgage. You've got plenty of other living costs, and the thing is, with your mortgage, it's a fixed cost. So you can't even ring up your landlord and say, "Oh, hey landlord, I can't really pay rent this month. Can you give me a few days?" You just can't do that. It's really fixed. So if you have kind of like a flaky job, or you think that your job security is low, or your business is not really doing well, you might want to reconsider if you actually want to own a house and go into that kind of lifetime contract. And the last thing, which in my opinion is the biggest decider, is if you are going to buy or rent, is how long do you plan on living in the house for? Now, in my opinion, if you're not planning to live in the house for at least 15 years, then for me personally, I wouldn't really buy the house. So yeah, if you're planning on living in the house for anything less than that, then in my opinion, it's best for you to just rent. Because in the short term, again, like I said, in the short term, it's cheaper to rent. In the long term, it's cheaper to buy. So if you're obviously gonna be there for a short time, then you might as well just rent the house. And then if you want to be there for a long time, then of course you should just buy. But just bear in mind, at the start, it's going to be extremely expensive. And then maybe for the second half of your mortgage, then you kind of start to reap the benefits of that as well. So guys, there's no right or wrong answer to this. I mean, this is just some of the points that I've made. Personally, at the moment, I am not going to be buying a house anytime soon for myself to live in. I will, however, be I'm on the lookout for investment properties. So that I definitely, I'm a big believer in buying a house for investment purposes. But in terms of living in, for me personally, it doesn't work out for me at the moment. So yeah, that's my opinion, guys. Hope you take this into consideration. Guys, thanks so much for watching my video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like and also subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.